Welcome back to course 1 of the How to Build a Content Marketing Strategy from Scratch. This is episode 3, and I want to start with a quote that I think is the most important sentence in content marketing. If your content speaks to everyone, it converts no one. Read that again, because it's the reason most content programs plateau. Not because the writing is bad, not because the distribution is weak, but because the content was never truly written for a specific person. Today we fix that. By the end of this episode, you'll know exactly who your content is for, what they care about, the exact words they use to describe their own problems, and how to map your content to every stage of how they buy. There's a free ICP and content persona workbook linked in the description. Download it before you watch so you can fill it in as we go. Let's start. Let me show you what writing for everyone actually looks like in practice, because I guarantee you've seen it and you might be doing it right now. Generic headlines: 10 content marketing tips for 2026. This article could be for a solopreneur, a Fortune 500 CMO, a B2B SaaS startup, or a local restaurant. It ranks for nothing specific. It resonates with no one in particular. Every SaaS blog has already published this article. Vague pain points, struggling with growth. Every company on earth is struggling with growth. Without specificity, the reader's immediate reaction is, this isn't really for me, and they leave. Mixed signals. One week you're publishing startup founder advice. The next week it's enterprise strategy. The week after that it's SMB tips. This confuses Google's algorithm and your reader in equal measure. Here's the fix. Know exactly who you are writing for. Know their job title and seniority. Know the specific problem keeping them awake at 2 a.m. Know what success looks like in their world. And then, this is the most important part. Write as if there is one single person reading this piece. Not a segment, not a demographic, one human being with a specific problem who needs your help. This distinction matters enormously and almost nobody talks about it. Your content ICP and your sales ICP are not the same person, and confusing them is one of the most common reasons content strategies underperform. Your sales ICP is who you want to sell to. It's a company description. Series A to B funded, 50 to 500 employees, B2B SaaS, HubSpot, and Salesforce in their tech stack, US or UK based. The decision maker is likely a VP of marketing or a CMO with budget authority. Your content ICP is who discovers and reads your content. This is often a more junior person, a marketing manager or director who is doing the research before the decision is made. They're not yet ready to buy. They're searching for answers to their problems. They don't know your product exists. They're consuming content at 9 p.m. on their phone. These two people are related. The content reader eventually becomes the sales prospect, but they need completely different content to reach them. Here's the principle that holds this all together. Your content must win the trust of the reader before your sales team can ever talk to the buyer. The marketing manager who read 3 of your articles before your AE ever sent them an email, they're already halfway sold. That's what ICP focused content does. Let me give you the 5 dimensions you need to define your content ICP properly. These aren't just nice to haves. If you can't answer these 5 things with specificity, you don't have an ICP, you have a guess. Dimension 1: demographics. Job title, seniority, company size, industry, geography. The factual description of who this person is in the world. Dimension 2: pain points. What are they struggling with right now? What have they already tried that hasn't worked? What is the cost, financial, professional, emotional, of this problem staying unsolved? Dimension 3: goals. What does success look like for them in the next 90 days? How is their performance measured? What would get them promoted? If you can help them achieve their goals, they will trust you with their attention. Dimension 4: behavior. Where do they get their information? Do they read LinkedIn at 7 a.m. or watch YouTube tutorials in the evening? Are they in Slack communities? Do they listen to podcasts on their commute? Where your ICP goes is where your content needs to be. Dimension 5: language. What exact words do they use to describe their own problem? What phrases signal trust? What jargon makes them click away? This is the dimension that most teams completely skip, and it's the one that makes the biggest difference to whether content converts. In your workbook, section 1 walks you through all 5 dimensions with fillable templates. 56%. That is the percentage of B2B content that fails to resonate, not because it is badly written, not because it is poorly designed, but because it was written for the wrong person. More than half of all the content being created and distributed right now will never convert a single lead because it's targeting an audience that's too broad, too vague, or simply incorrect. Think about what that means for your marketing budget. If over half of what you produce is invisible to the people who matter, you are not just wasting content budget, you are wasting the opportunity cost of what that time and money could have built. The solution is not to create less content. The solution is to get dramatically more specific about who you are creating it for. A piece of content written precisely for one person will always outperform a piece written generically for everyone. You can have the best writer in the world, the slickest design, the most aggressive distribution, and still generate zero pipeline if the content is not aimed at the right person. Here is the framework that most SaaS content teams are either getting wrong or ignoring entirely: the top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, and bottom of the funnel. Top of the funnel is awareness stage content. Your ICP doesn't know you exist. They're searching for answers to their problems. They're not looking for your product. They're Googling how to improve content marketing ROI or watching YouTube tutorials on demand generation. The content should be purely educational, problem focused, and completely free of product pitching. Blog posts, YouTube tutorials, LinkedIn thought leadership, podcast appearances, free tools. This is the territory. Middle of the funnel is consideration stage content. Now they know their problem. They're evaluating approaches and comparing solutions. They're looking for proof that your way of thinking is the right one. Comparison guides, webinars, email nurture sequences, deep case studies, ROI calculators. This is where you start demonstrating your approach without selling yet. Bottom of the funnel is decision stage content. They're ready to buy. They need one final thing: confidence that your specific product is the right choice. Customer case studies with hard numbers, demo videos, free trials, pricing comparisons, security documentation. This is what removes the last objection before someone becomes a customer. Here's the split most SaaS teams should aim for: 50% top of the funnel, 30% middle of the funnel, 20% bottom of the funnel. The irony is that most teams have this completely backwards: all top of the funnel awareness content, almost no middle of the funnel or bottom of the funnel. And then they wonder why traffic isn't converting. This slide is worth more than any copywriting course you'll ever take, and it's completely free. Here's the insight: your ICP already knows how to describe their own problem. They've been describing it to their colleagues, their boss, their peers. The question is whether you're listening. 6 places to find that language. Customer interviews. Ask your best customers, how would you describe this problem to a friend? The raw, unfiltered answer is your next headline, not your polished marketing language, their language. G2 and Capterra reviews. Specifically, filter by 3-star reviews of competitor products. 3-star reviews are the most honest, frustrated enough to complain, pleased enough to not be vicious. These are gold mines of specific, emotionally charged language. Sales call recordings. Use gong or chorus. Search for words like frustrated or struggling. The moments where prospects are describing their own pain in their own words, that's your content brief. Reddit and Slack communities. Find the subreddits and Slack groups where your ICP hangs out. Every question someone posts is a content topic. Every frustration vented is a pain point you could address. Support tickets and live chat. Your support team hears the same 10 questions every single day. Each one is a piece of content waiting to be written. The most frequently asked support question is your most urgent content opportunity. Google autocomplete. Type your ICP's core problem into Google and see what the autocomplete suggests. Those suggestions are real searches from real people. Your ICP's peers telling you exactly what they're looking for. Two numbers that should fundamentally change how you think about audience specificity. ICP targeted content achieves 2 times the engagement rate of generic content, double the engagement. Not from a bigger audience, not from a better distribution strategy, just from being more specific about who you are writing for. And persona specific content generates 3.4 times more qualified pipeline than category level content with no audience specificity. 3.5 times more pipeline from the same number of pieces, just because each one speaks directly to a defined person rather than a broad category. Here's the principle behind both of these numbers: specificity is not limiting, it's amplifying. When you narrow your audience, you don't reach fewer people, you reach the right people more deeply. Think about the last time you read a piece of content and thought, this was written for me. You probably read the whole thing, you probably shared it, you probably clicked the CTA. That feeling, the feeling of being precisely understood, is what ICP focused content creates. And it's worth 3.4 times the pipeline to prove it. Let me make the ICP concept concrete with 3 real personas I see most often in SaaS content marketing. Your specific personas will be different, but this gives you a starting point for the kind of specificity we're aiming for. Persona 1, the revenue pressed CMO, a VP of marketing or CMO at a Series A or B SaaS company. The board is demanding pipeline, their budget is being scrutinized, they need to prove marketing ROI fast. The content that wins them: case studies, ROI frameworks, and executive level strategic thinking, not tactical tutorials. Persona 2, the overloaded marketing manager. This is the person doing everything. No big team, no big budget. They need practical, executable advice they can implement alone. This week, the content that wins them, step by step how to guides, templates, tool comparisons, concrete and actionable every time. Persona 3, the growth obsessed founder, pre Series A, wearing every hat. They need high leverage moves that don't require headcount or budget. The content that wins them, quick wins, founder stories, channel specific playbooks, efficient and results focused. Notice how different these three people are. The CMO wants proof, the manager wants instructions, the founder wants leverage. If you write one generic content strategy piece for all three of them, it will work for none of them. The advice I always give: pick one of these as your primary persona for your first 90 days. Your content will be cleaner, your CT is sharper, your SEO more focused. You can always add secondary personas later, but starting broad is how content programs fail. Once you know your ICP, you can build content pillars, and this is where your strategy starts to become an engine rather than a series of one off decisions. A content pillar is a broad theme that your content focuses on. Think of it as the territory you are going to own. You want 3 to 5 of them, no more, because focus is what builds topical authority. The best pillars sit at the intersection of three things: what your ICP genuinely cares about, not what you think they should care about, but what they're actually searching for and talking about. What you have genuine authority and expertise to write about, because nobody trusts content from someone who is clearly learning the topic as they write it. And what connects naturally to your product or solution, because at some point, content needs to feed pipeline. Let me give you a concrete example. If you're a marketing SaaS targeting marketing managers, your content pillars might look like this: B2B content marketing, because that is their core job function and daily challenge. Marketing attribution and ROI, because proving their impact to the CFO is their biggest frustration. Demand generation strategy, because it's adjacent to their content challenges. And marketing team and operations, because the human side of their job is equally important. Every piece of content you create sits under one of those four pillars. Every keyword you target sits under one of those pillars. Every guest podcast appearance is about one of those pillars. That's how you build topical authority that Google recognizes and rewards. Three final statistics that I want to leave sitting in your mind. 64% of B2B buyers say relevance is the number one factor in whether they engage with a piece of content, not production quality, not length, not even whether it came from a brand they know. Relevance. Does this piece feel like it was written for someone like me? 82% of B2B buyers say they feel overwhelmed by the sheer volume of content they encounter. The content landscape is noisier than it has ever been. Generic content doesn't just underperform, it actively contributes to the problem by adding to the noise without adding value. ICP specific content is the only kind that cuts through, and people are 5 times more likely to share content that feels written specifically for someone like them. 5 times. Your distribution strategy, the thing most content teams spend enormous effort on, can be dramatically amplified just by getting more specific about who you're writing for. I want you to think about that last one carefully. If ICP specific content generates 5 times more organic sharing, it means your content does more of its own distribution. Your readers become your distribution channel because they're sharing something that finally says what they've been trying to say to their colleagues. When your reader thinks this was written for me, that's when content stops being content and becomes trust. I want to make this completely concrete with 3 before and after headline transformations. These are real examples of the kind of upgrade that ICP thinking produces. Example 1: before, 10 content marketing tips for 2026. After, how marketing managers at Series A SaaS companies can generate 30 MQLs per month from content. The before headline could be for anyone. The after headline: a marketing manager at a Series A SaaS reads that and thinks, that's me, that's my exact situation. That's the number my CMO wants. I need to read this. Example 2: before, how to improve your social media strategy. After, why your LinkedIn content isn't generating pipeline and what to fix this week. The before is broad, competitive, and irrelevant for most B2B SaaS buyers. The after specifies the channel, the problem, the outcome, and a time frame. The reader knows within 2 seconds whether it is for them. Example 3. Before, the complete guide to marketing ROI. After, how to prove content marketing ROI to a CFO who doesn't believe in organic. The before is too broad to rank and too vague to convert. The after specifies the audience, a marketing leader, the stakeholder, the CFO, and the specific objection. They don't believe organic works. That specificity is what makes it convert. The pattern is the same every time. The more specific the headline, the more the right reader self-selects. And the more the right reader self-selects, the higher your conversion rate. Three mistakes I see constantly when SaaS teams try to build an ICP focused content strategy for the first time. Mistake one, targeting too many personas at once. Publishing content for founders on Monday, marketing managers on Wednesday, and CMOs on Friday. Every persona gets confused content that was written for no one in particular. The fix is to commit to one primary persona for your first 90 days. Master that voice, build that trust, dominate that ICP. Then expand. Mistake 2, defining your ICP by company rather than by the human reader. Series A SaaS companies is a company description, not a person. Nobody opens Google on behalf of their company. A human being opens Google with a specific question in their specific head at a specific moment. Define the human, give them a name. Sarah, marketing manager, 60% SaaS, stressed about pipeline, searching at 9 p.m. from her phone. That's an ICP you can actually write for. Mistake 3, assuming you know your ICP without ever talking to them. This is the most expensive mistake. Writing content based on what you think your ICP cares about without a single customer interview to validate it. The fix is simple and uncomfortable. Talk to 5 customers this month. Ask them how would you describe this problem to a colleague. Use their exact words. You will be surprised and humbled by how differently they describe it compared to your internal language. Three things I want you to carry out of this episode. Number one, specificity is your superpower, not your limitation. The more precisely you define who your content is for, the more it resonates. That feeling of this was written for me is the highest compliment a reader can give a content marketer. And it only happens when you've done the work to define your ICP with real precision. Number two, your ICP's words are your best headlines. Stop writing from inside your own head. Stop using your internal vocabulary. Mind G2 reviews, sales call recordings, customer interviews, Reddit, Slack communities. The language your ICP uses to describe their own problems is not just insight, it's copy. Use it directly. Number three, map your content to the full buyer journey, not just awareness. Most teams overinvest in TOFU and forget MOFU and BOFU entirely. Your buyers need content that meets them at every stage of how they make decisions. If you're not present at the consideration and decision stages, someone else will be there when your prospect is ready to buy. Don't let that happen. You've now completed 3 episodes. You understand why content compounds, you know which metrics connect to revenue, and you now have the ICP framework and persona tools to make every piece of content you write land with precision. In episode 4, we're tackling the number one operational challenge in content marketing: building an editorial calendar that your team will actually execute week after week, month after month, without burning out or abandoning it. We'll cover why most content calendars collapse after 3 weeks and exactly what you need to do differently. How to plan 90 days of content in a single 2 hour session. The ownership model that makes execution consistent without micromanagement. And I'll walk through how to set this up in Notion, Airtable, and Google Sheets. Before episode 4, download the ICP and content persona wordcook from the link in the description. Fill in sections 1 and 2, your content ICP and your 3 buyer personas. It will take you about 45 minutes, and it will be the most valuable 45 minutes you spend on your content strategy this month. Subscribe so you don't miss episode 4. Drop a comment below with the biggest ICP challenge you're facing right now. And if this episode clarified something that's been fuzzy for you, share it with someone on your team who needs to hear it. See you in episode 4.